Consciousness, the final frontier. These are the voyages into the universe between your ears. Our mission: to explore collective wisdom, seek out amazing secrets, and spread the message of personal potential.
All right, hello everybody. I am Tim Starr, your host for this episode. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Gabi Mushev.
Hi to everyone.
We are your pilots for this journey into the universe between your ears. We're joined from across the pond, as they say, by a gentleman named Alex Manzi, coming to us from London. Alex is a host of another podcast called Dreamer's Disease.
Yes.
It's a budding he is a budding lifestyle entrepreneur with a passion for helping others to improve their lives both day to day and through pursuing their dreams and passions. Podcast shares the stories of inspirational people with an aim to gain some knowledge and insight to implement into our own lives. Yes. Alex, thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, when I found out about sort of the subject matter of your show, I said, you know what, he's going to have something to say. Yeah. And we're going to hold your feet to the fire and find out.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah. So, I know Gabi and I were both looking over the episodes and stuff today. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, how many episodes have you done, first off?
So episode 25 goes out in about an hour, 2 hours.
Okay. All right. So you're ahead of us. We just launched a couple of days ago.
Oh, nice.
But in the people that you've interviewed, is there anybody in particular who stands out for you that was really a fun interview, or who really dropped some really good nuggets on you, or?
There are 2 or 3 that I consistently get very good feedback on. One of them is with an amazing young lady called the Slumflower, who is I guess she's a personality, but she's like a social activist, and her role in this world is to help empower young black women in the UK and beyond, I guess. So she was full of like amazing just knowledge and wisdom and power. Then the other one was another young lady called Caroline SM, who's a figure within the UK music scene, who's again young lady, 23 actually, and she's just done some amazing things at such a young age. And she was just, her story, that episode in particular, I always start with the same question, which is, can you let the audience know who you are and a little bit about what you do? And I asked her that, and I didn't speak for another 10 minutes, because she just just told her whole story from like beginning to end. Yeah. And it was just incredible. And then the other episode that always really stands out is with the sister of a friend of mine, a woman called Kira, and she is an Instagram fitness blogger and personal trainer. And I was very interested to sort of dive into that world of, there's quite a big boom of fitness people on Instagram. And yeah, we sat down, had a conversation, and her drive and her like foresight for what she wants to do is just, it was incredible to me. I think my expectations weren't as great as what they probably should have been from her. My fault, but I just walked away from the episode like, wow, she's seriously incredible. I didn't put the kind of business side of things and the kind of the drive that she has with, you're an essentially an Instagram blogger, so maybe underestimated her a little bit. Yeah. And it really shocked me and blew me away, and I could consistently get good feedback on that episode.
Those are the fun surprises, right?
Yeah, it was great. This is a girl who I'd kind of known through growing up, but I didn't know her well enough to have had a serious conversation or anything like that. I just knew who she was. So when we sat down, I was really within the first 10 minutes, I was like, wow, this girl she knows what she's doing. She's serious. It was really, I was impressed with that. She took me by surprise, which was nice.
Any out of those three? Any points or statements that any of them made in particular that you want to share? Or?
I'll tell you what, I've got, if you can bear with me, I've actually got every single, I make like little artworks for each episode, so I can actually do some of the quotes from each of those episodes. If I
might be an idea we need to steal.
Yeah. So one from Kira, she said that once you believe that you are good at what you do, you don't need to convince other people to come to you, because the quality of your work speaks out. And then she also said, we worry too much and stress about everything, which takes away from the enjoyment of life, which is very true. And then the Slumflower, let me find one from her. We have a very limited time here on Earth, so you might as well be as much of yourself as you can be, which I think rings true for a lot of people. And then Caroline, on being a female in the UK music industry, there's a lot of kind of issues around, there's not enough representation from women in the industry. She said that regardless of gender, sexual orientation, or race, you have to focus on being the best at what you do to sort of make strides. So some very good advice there, I suppose.
Yeah, good stuff from young people,
Yeah,
A lot of us have taken a long time to learn some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Alex, how did you decide to start doing this? I'm interested. What was the motivation behind this?
It's just kind of weird, really, because I've kind of gone through like a patchy past with like suffering from like heavy anxiety and a touch of depression and things like that. And it took a point about 4 years ago where I had like a breakdown in front of my girlfriend at the time, and we were arguing, and I was sat there not saying anything because I was sort of having a conversation in my own head. And I just burst into tears, and I was crying, and she was like, what's wrong? And all I could burst out was like, I don't feel like myself. And from there, it's kind of been a journey for me to try and find what my best version of myself is, and to find a purpose and a reason, and etc. And it took me a while. Like I fell into a new job shortly after that episode, and that kind of put me back on a level where I felt quite happy and etc. But what I found after that was that and I still do the job, although I really enjoy the job, and it's an amazing opportunity, and every day is incredible, and we've done some amazing work, is that I don't feel like that's my ultimate purpose. Like I feel like there's something more for me. And around 2 years ago, about 2 years ago, I was away with my friends, and we'd gone for a walk in the town that we were staying in, and we were talking about wanting to start to read more books and to do things like that. And we basically started a book club, and this was around the time where I just started getting into listening to a lot of podcasts and had decided that I wanted to read more. So it kind of fell in tune nicely. And I found myself reading a lot of motivational and self-improvement and self-help and business/marketing type books. So books from like Gary Vee and, Ryan Holiday and Eckhart Tolle and those kinds of people. And it just all amassed that I was finding so much kind of power from the words. And I just felt like there was a lot of people I am connected to through my work and through what I've done in my past who have amazing stories to share. And we rarely, in this day and age, hear the story. We just see the final product. And a lot of people look at that final product and go, oh, I can't be like this person, I can't do that. But in fact, when you hear the story of what they've done, you actually can see that, everything they've done has led them to that point. And it's feasible for anyone to reach that point as long as you work hard enough at it, and have the kind of right mindset and all of that. So it's kind of hearing those stories and trying to inspire people to, find something that they're really passionate about, do it if you can, or if it's just a hobby, do it as a hobby. And yeah, that was kind of it. And then it just came up with the name and everything, and the branding all sort of just fell into place, and bought the equipment and just set up and started recording.
Just did it. Yeah. I love the name, Dreamer's Disease.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's contagious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, it's actually taken from, so there's a UK rapper called Stormzy, and he released an EP about 3 years ago called Dreamer's Disease. And when I was coming up with names, I was writing down, buzzwords like happiness, inspiration, motivation, dreaming, and I was just trying to come up with all these different names, and Dreamer's Disease just really stuck with me. And the reasoning I put behind it is that Dreamer's Disease, as meant by Stormzy with the name of his project, was that he is living his dreams, and his disease, that he wants to continue living his dreams and he's living it out, etc. But my flip on it was that it's the disease of dreaming that stops us living our best lives. So instead of dreaming, you have to put things into action. So both meanings of the phrase work for essentially what the podcast is about. So it was just a perfect fit. I always have to big up Stormzy for that, because if he ever listens to an episode, he'll wonder why I took the name of it.
You should contact him. Get him as a guest.
I will. But he's probably a little bit out of my league at the minute, to be honest.
No, you know what? I have learned very recently that all you got to do is write an email, and you'd be amazed at the people that will come back to you and say, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain it will happen one day, because I know enough people who know him, and we know each other. Not, I don't have his number and I phone him up, but through my work, when we see each other, we say hello, we have a little chat. So,
oh man, you're in.
Yeah, it's just getting to a level where he can't say no to coming on the podcast because it's doing so well.
We got to work on your mindset, dude. We're gonna.
I think I started following you, Alex, on SoundCloud, and I think that there was one episode when you were addressing that our generation stopped having real conversations.
Yeah,
you were saying, and it occurred to me that our motivation, well, partially the motivation, we are having great conversations through this.
Yeah.
Getting together with somebody, as Tim was saying, across the pond, and just really sitting down and like spending some, meaningful time, significant time.
Well, this is why we didn't, from the beginning, we did not want to do a straight up interview with anybody.
Exactly.
We want to talk. We want to see where it takes us, because, the stuff that people would put in, here, send us the 5 points that you want to touch on. I mean, what are the questions we can ask you? You can get all that stuff online. You can get their answers to that stuff online already. It's the stuff that you make people think about when they have to come up with a new, we're going to put them to work. We're going to put you to work maybe. But that's the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I take the same approach. The interviews are quite structured in the sense of, I want to make sure we hear their story, but it's also quite free in terms of the things we talk about. Like sometimes I stop them in their tracks and ask a question that they're not expecting, and it has to get them thinking, or just thinking a little bit deeper about why certain things have happened in their life and career. And it's just to get the brain working. And I think that comes through quite nicely in all the episodes so far.
That's how you learn and stuff.
I had this idea that Tim, I didn't share this with you, but I really wanted to reach out to the folks who are not English speakers.
Yeah.
In other countries, because we are all in this Western bubble.
Yeah.
And how to organize this? I thought maybe it could be through some kind of technology when you could translate what they're saying instantly. I don't know.
In real time, yeah.
In real time, or it could be a translator actually who we could engage in this. But it would be so great. And I'll tell you where that idea came from. For about 2 or 3 years now, under influence of my friend, I started watching rare movies with subtitles, not English movies, right? And I just had an incredible experience. I really had to focus, obviously, because if you don't follow the subtitles, you're just going to miss the whole thing. And I just accepted that there was not much entertainment in them, but they had a lasting effect on me. And really, allowed me to get a very interesting, unique insight into other, way of looking at things.
Yeah. But you know what? Also, maybe because you've had to concentrate so hard on.
Yes, I had to be present. I had to be present. Exactly.
Take more of it in, you know.
Yeah. But
it's amazing how focus will do that, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, we live in a society now where focus is minimal, and it's, you know, even just to watch a film. How many times during a film will you check your phone or get up and go to the toilet and you take your eyes off the screen? Whereas if it's a subtitled film or program, you know that any second you're not looking at the screen, you're missing something, and our brains still find it hard to focus for that amount of time.
We recently had the as with friends, we had a movie night, and we watched The Matrix.
Yeah,
the first one, and I admitted, I told everyone I watched it maybe 6 times already, but because the majority of them didn't watch it, I was just so excited to go in with them. The room was so quiet, That's that's what you do, is you get a movie night, and when you get all together, and now it's becoming a real event, They were keeping quiet like in the movie theater, and the discussion afterwards was totally worth it.
I bet.
It's fun.
Yeah, we're gonna do this more, I think.
Yeah.
We have 2 more to go. Yeah.
So good, just even for your brain, just to have a conversation and sit down and. Like I've started putting out a lot of videos on my Instagram account, my personal Instagram account, like just streams of consciousness. And I had one the other day just about, I was just sat at home. It was like on a Sunday or a Saturday, I can't remember. And I was just messaging so many people on my phone on, like, WhatsApp. I don't know if you guys don't know if you guys use WhatsApp, like a messaging service. And I just thought, like, I'm not really having conversations here. It's all just small talk. It's not much of a thing. So I went on a bit of a preaching
rant.
Yeah, preaching rant. Just like saying, we don't spend enough time connecting with people and sitting down and just having a face-to-face conversation, or phoning people and having a conversation on the phone. And in that same evening, I was walking home from a restaurant, and I phoned about 7 of my friends, and not one of them answered the phone. And that's just, it's like, everyone's just like, it's weird to phone.
They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They don't know how it works.
And then they'll message me saying, "Oh, did you call?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was just phoning to see how you are, like, see what's going on."
Yeah.
It's just, it's such a weird, people are getting closer through social media, but they're getting more distant as well in terms of the connections that we have.
Yeah,
those connections are so powerful for us.
I think if you grow up not really making those connections, you don't understand the value of them.
Yeah.
And we came up through eras where there were, the internet didn't exist, cell phones didn't exist, just all that stuff. And if somebody called you on the phone from another state, they were 200 miles. A long distance call was expensive. You had to make the most out of the conversation, keep it short, get to the point. All kinds of stuff, that has changed so fast.
Do you think that
it's a different world now?
The art of having a conversation is just going to be lost with this?
Yeah, I said
exactly. Is there any hope that we'll still have some? Like, I mean, my boy is 12 now, right? Yeah. Tim, as you said that, I was like, oh my God, I'm not having long conversations. It's always like the interactions that are limited to, like, maybe sharing some opinion, and then we just go on about doing, things, whatever we were doing before, right?
Yeah.
I know there are like milestone conversations that, like a father and a son would have, right?
Yeah.
How do you kiss a girl? That kind of thing. But I mean, every day, meaningful conversations, things like that. I don't know. If it goes away, what is it gonna hurt us?
Probably.
Or is it?
I don't think it's going to go away, though. All of these things, to me, what I see is that you have this degradation or this depletion of the people that are upholding the tradition, however you want to phrase it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere along the line, there are a few people who just spark a revolution, a resurgence, a renaissance back, and they go back into that. You know, it's
They're
like
gonna bounce back.
vinyl records, you know, were virtually dead, and now they're coming back all over the place, and you know, stuff like that. I think, and this is the kind of thing that people who understand the value of it really understand the value,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think it'll die completely. It's gonna wane, and then people will pick it up, and there'll be people doing podcasts who won't be satisfied to have a text conversation via audio. They're going to want to talk about stuff that has some meaning, and you know, they want to dig in.
Do you guys tweet? Oh, I'm sorry, Alex. What were you saying?
No, I was just going to say I've started to send a lot more voice notes instead of text messages, because you still have that art of like.
Oh yeah.
Where, you know, even if the other person replies with a message, I'll still reply with a voice note, because there's just sometimes you just want to say too much for a text, you know.
That's a great idea, and you could do this easily now. You know, you could just send it in a voice. Yeah. I like that. I'm gonna use that.
Somebody that I know sent me a video email.
Oh, really?
And it was her. And I thought that my initial reaction was, well, and we had met at this event, and I thought, well, she's sending this to everybody. This is like a broadcast thing. But no, she used my name, and, you know, so she had to whoever she was sending this kind of email to, she had to individually record these little videos.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, that's a great touch, a great technique, because nobody else is doing that.
No.
You know, and if you want to market, you want to make a difference, you want to stand out, you got to do something that's different.
I mean, there are some job applications that you go through, and they ask for a video CV instead of an actual or resume. You know, they ask you to send a video instead of your resume. That's like, you get more of a sense of the person, I suppose, because a bit of paper it's toneless, it's emotionless, it's joyless.
Well, you know, it's only smart to do if you're hiring somebody. If you had two resumes that are equivalent, but one of these people you actually get to talk to.
Yeah.
Or let's just say you get to talk to both of them. The resume doesn't tell you anything different about the two, but when you talk to them, what you want to hire when you hire somebody, you want somebody who's going to be a good fit for your organization.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not going to get, if all you're doing is it's a 50-50 shot based on paper, you know, why not up your odds by talking to somebody, you know?
Yeah.
You could have a lunatic that comes to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
Yeah, I would think that, you know, many people are more presentable, but you know, not as good a fit, you know, as maybe someone who is maybe an introvert. I had many experiences like that with people. They're just great on the outside, perfect presentation, and just not right, you know. And I just it couldn't be more wrong to hire them, you know.
Well, do you know what? To be fair, I hate I really despise like video. Like if I was asked when I first started working,
that's why we made you do it this way.
No. If I was asked to do a video CV or, you know, application when I was younger, I'd have been like, no way am I doing that.
Yeah.
I always felt really awkward, and even now when I make videos for my own Instagram, I still feel really like it's not a natural thing for me. So it's really something that's out of my comfort zone, which is why I made myself do it, but also because for what I'm trying to do, it's one of the best ways to get the message across. But I still, you know, I'll get my phone out and I'll go to record the video, and then I'll put it back down and go, then I'll get it out again and be like, oh no, I can't. And I normally do it when I'm walking down the street as like a stream of consciousness, and it takes me like a couple of attempts to actually start recording. So yeah, it's just, in one way it's great because you get that sense, I suppose, of who a person is if they're applying for a job. But on the other hand, you might be missing out on a great applicant because they're not comfortable filming.
Right.
So it's
Well, let's
tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, I want to detour a little bit, but go off of something that you just were saying. The idea of stepping out of your comfort zone because it's good for you.
Yeah.
Right. This is something that we hear. You know, everybody preaches. Everybody who's done anything preaches to everybody else who wants to do something. You got to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right. You have to. You got to take some steps that you haven't taken before.
Yeah.
So obviously, or I hope obviously, this is stuff that you're talking about with the people that are guests on your show.
Yeah.
Has anybody given sort of some good, like, concrete sorts of ways maybe for somebody who's listening that they could start to do that? They need a little...
I think, do you know what, to be honest, I think it's all very dependent on the person who wants to do it. Like, you could look at, for example, someone who wants to change their diet. Like, stepping out of their comfort zone might mean don't eat fast food 5 times a week, just eat it twice a week and have fish and salad the other nights of the week. That would be a stepping out of the comfort zone. Or, you know, someone who wants to start going to work out or go to the gym, it might be, okay, instead of going to the gym after work, you always make excuses for yourself, get up in the morning and go to the gym before work. That would be stepping out of your comfort zone. Or, you know, like the example I just gave of the video, that for me was stepping out of my comfort zone. Or even the podcast, again, for me, I'm someone who's always preferred to work in the background. And, you know, my whole career has been as a producer in some respect, be it social media, be it TV, be it whatever, marketing. It's always been a role in the background. So to put myself forward as a person through a podcast was quite a big deal for me in terms of stepping out of my comfort zone. So it's all very dependent. So I think the only advice really from me would be just do something different. You know, that's it. And it could be something as simple as, like, if you walk to the bus stop to get to work, or if you walk to the station to get to work, walk a slightly different route every day. Don't always go the exact same route. That's your stepping out of your comfort zone. That's a start, you know? Yeah,
you got to start somewhere. I think a lot of people, it goes to what you were saying before. People see these people who've done all this amazing stuff and they go, well, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But they didn't start out doing that. Right?
Yeah.
And none of us are going to start out doing that. We all start with little stuff.
And even down to the extent, I guess, of, like, you know, using someone like Steve Jobs, right, as an example. It's like stepping out of his comfort zone was being in his parents' garage every day or after work or whenever he was doing it, building a computer with his friend. Like, that's not your comfort zone. There would be to get home from work, go and sit on the sofa, put the TV on, have some dinner, not do, like, more work. Do you know what I mean? Even for, like, you know, us guys, like, doing a podcast outside of your normal working day or your normal life, you're doing it outside of, like, for me, I could have been sat here waiting. I mean, I was watching TV just before you guys called me because I had, like, an hour where I wanted to chill for a little bit. But from when I finished work, I got home about 6:30 until about 10, I was doing work on the podcast, you know, uploading, you know, whatever, editing, making images, etc. Like, that's not being in your comfort zone, because your comfort zone could quite easily be, oh, actually, I'm just going to, you know what, I'm going to put the PlayStation on, or I'm going to watch TV or watch a film. You know, that, so it depends which way you look at it, I suppose, and what the different thing is for each person.
Hi, this is Tim Starr. Thanks for joining me and Gabi on the universe between your ears. We really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us for a little while. And we'd like to see you again. So be sure to subscribe wherever it is you're consuming the podcast from, whether it's YouTube or Stitcher or iTunes or whatever the hell else is out there. We want to see you again. We also want to hear from you. So let us know what you think of each episode. Let us know if you got an idea for a future episode that you think would be just killer. Absolutely, let us know. All right? Thanks again, and we will see you next time around. Bye-bye.